It's now my pleasure to introduce the presenter of our final Genius Award, Victoria Gray. She's the first person in the world to receive CRISPR gene editing therapy for sickle cell anemia in 2019. She was patient number 1 in the first clinical trial. Since receiving CRISPR treatment, Victoria has been symptom-free for almost 6 years and has become an eloquent patient voice in healthcare advocacy. Would you please join me in welcoming Victoria to the stage?
Thank you, Paul. It is wonderful for me to be here with you all this evening. For obvious reasons, it is my extreme honor to present our next Genius Award to Jennifer Doudna. Jennifer is a biochemist at the University of California, Berkeley. Her groundbreaking development on CRISPR gene therapy CRISPR gene technology earned her and a collaborator the 2020 Nobel Prize in Chemistry. May we have the video, please?
Over billions of years, tiny bacteria evolved a system to recognize and destroy attacking viruses. This natural defense, known as CRISPR, sparked curiosity in biochemist Jennifer Doudna and led to one of the biggest breakthroughs in modern science.
Well, I started working on the chemical basis of CRISPR protection in cells, how it works as an immune system.
Doudna and microbiologist Emmanuel Charpentier observed a group of molecules that act like targeted scissors, snipping viral DNA in a specific spot that matches a guide sequence. Then they realized that they could perfect this mechanism for use far beyond bacteria. Swap in the right guide sequence, and you can cut and edit any genome exactly where you want.
A good way to think about it is as a surgical tool that allows rewriting the code of life.
Transformed into a technology, CRISPR has revolutionized genetic research, opening up possibilities in fields from medicine to energy, and in 2020, earning the 2 researchers a Nobel Prize. Doudna began her scientific journey as a child who was curious about the world around her.
I think I was in probably 5th grade in Hawaii, and growing up in the Big Island, I loved the natural world there, the plants, animals, blind spiders, etc., that I encountered in my youth. And I found myself wondering why those plants and animals had evolved to be the way they were.
She's been pursuing big questions ever since.
I love the fact that science is really about asking how do things work and then figuring it out. I still pinch myself thinking, this is my job. I think that there's a really interesting balance that we try to find between that very fundamental curiosity, just wondering, how does that work, to applying the knowledge that we get from that kind of discovery for practical solutions to real problems. So about 1.5 years ago, the Food and Drug Administration approved a CRISPR therapy for patients that have sickle cell disease. This is a devastating genetic disorder, and with CRISPR, we can now provide a one-and-done effective cure for those patients. It's amazing, and I've talked to some of the patients treated with this therapeutic. It's changed their lives in a very positive way. What's the downside? Well, a big one right now is the cost. It's $2 million a patient. I imagine a time when we can produce molecules for this therapy that are highly effective, so we need to use fewer of them. They're also deliverable by a simple injection, not a bone marrow transplant that's currently required, which is a many-week process that involves hospitalization. And once we've solved those issues, then we're going to be able to reduce the cost and also make it a technology and approach that's much more widely accessible by people.
In 2014, Doudna founded the Innovative Genomics Institute at UC Berkeley, where they're researching the evolutionary origins of CRISPR in bacteria and applying genome engineering to some of humanity's greatest problems. In a recent medical first, doctors used CRISPR to create a personalized treatment for a newborn's debilitating rare disease. CRISPR gene editing also holds promise for Huntington's disease, muscular dystrophy, cystic fibrosis, and different cancers. CRISPR's benefits could also extend to the planet.
There's a very exciting opportunity to use CRISPR in food production, thinking about how we can reprogram the genetics of plants so that they're more efficient at using nutrients to produce food crops, for example. About a third of the methane that's released around the world, one of the most powerful greenhouse gases, comes from animal farming. Wouldn't it be great if we could effectively just reprogram the bugs that are responsible for making that methane so they don't do that?
With real-world impact comes real-world responsibilities. That's especially true when talking about changes to the human germline, sperm, eggs, and embryos that could be passed on to future generations.
That's a profound use of a technology like CRISPR, and there's no question that it requires very careful thought and analysis about, when and for what purpose would such a use be warranted. Over the years, I've really advocated transparency around the use of CRISPR in the germline. I think that there may come a time when it's safe enough, we're not there today, but safe enough to use it in that setting that there may be real applications that would be ethical in the sense that we're preventing terrible disease from being transmitted. But boy, it's certainly going to require careful analysis about that to make sure it's done responsibly.
For her part in developing a technology with untold power, Jennifer Doudna is a winner of our 2025 Genius Award.
Dr. Doudna, could you please join us on stage?
So, Jennifer, I realize that the two of you just met for the first time a couple hours ago. How does that feel?
Absolutely extraordinary. The truth is, we actually had met previously by Zoom, and Victoria shared her personal story with me. It was incredibly moving. It's been an incredible experience to meet you in person today and to hear a bit more about your experience. And I just wonder how long it'll take to make sure that we expand this technology to help so many other people, something we both, I think, care deeply about.
So, Victoria, can you just share a little bit about when did your symptoms first affect you?
My symptoms started at the age of 3 months old. After a bath, really, and I started crying. My mom took me to the hospital thinking it was pain in my shoulder from birth. But that's when she got the news that I had sickle cell disease, I'm having my first crisis, and that I may not live to see 7 years old.
Oh my. And I heard that your son graduated from high school yesterday?
Yes.
That's terrific. So, Jennifer, I'm so struck by you started your career with a curiosity, right, about how bacteria immune systems work. You knew the furthest thing from your mind was you were going to go out and cure diseases. Talk a little bit about curiosity-driven science.
Well, in my experience, that's really how science begins. It's about thinking about how the world works and wondering about it, trying to figure it out. As you saw in the video, I grew up in Hawaii, and nobody in my family was a scientist. I just was fascinated by the natural world, had a great high school chemistry teacher. Thank you, Miss Wong, wherever you are. And all of you that are teaching, it's so important, turned me on to science and to chemistry in particular. And that path ultimately, crazily, led me to CRISPR and then ultimately to Victoria.
So Jennifer, I'm maybe exaggerating, but weekly, monthly, we keep seeing new uses of CRISPR. What are some of the things we might see in the next year?
Well, I think many of you might have seen the story last week about KJ Muldoon, a baby who was afflicted with a very rare metabolic disease. And what was incredible about that story is that he was able to be diagnosed, and then a version of CRISPR was created for his disease within a few short months. And now he has received that treatment, and I heard from his doctor 2 days ago that he's about to be discharged from the hospital. It's incredible. So, and as wonderful as that is, I think what I'm really, really excited about right now is that I think we're literally on the verge of being able to expand that kind of treatment for many other people. One of the things our Innovative Genomics Institute is working on together with the clinicians at CHOP and elsewhere is to create a platform pathway so that in the future, when there are other cases like that, and as you all know, there are many, rare diseases are rare for individuals, but if we put them all together, there's a lot of people afflicted. So I really want to see the day when this becomes effectively a standard of care that we can provide, and we can do it at a cost that's affordable. So that's something that we got to work hard to get there, but I think we can do it, and it's going to take, it'll take all of us to get it done.
Thank you.
And we're coming.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Jennifer, so much. Thank you.